For 3 generations, my family owned this ranch. Thousands of acres stretched beyond the horizon. Every fence, barn, and pasture carried family history. I never imagined someone would try to sell it without me. A business trip took me out of state for 2 weeks. Before leaving, I secured everything as usual. The ranch manager watched over daily operations. Or at least, that's what I thought. While I was away, Melissa Grant saw an opportunity. She had spent years trying to gain control over nearby ranch land. My property was her biggest target. For months, she pushed a strange narrative. She claimed portions of the ranch were abandoned. Most people ignored her. Unfortunately, she didn't stop. Then something unbelievable happened. An auction event was organized near my ranch. Flyers started appearing across the county. People were invited to bid on land that wasn't for sale. At first, I didn't know any of this was happening. The notices never reached me. The timing wasn't a coincidence. I was still hundreds of miles away. Point 3. Everything changed with one phone call. A neighboring rancher reached me directly. His voice sounded urgent. He asked why my ranch was being auctioned. I thought he was joking. Then he sent photos. There it was, an auction advertisement featuring my ranch. I immediately canceled the rest of my trip. The next available flight was booked. Something was seriously wrong, and I intended to find out exactly what. When I arrived early the next morning, the auction was already underway. Bidders filled the tent, and standing at the center of it all was Melissa. The moment I stepped into the auction tent, the crowd went silent. Melissa's face turned pale. She clearly wasn't expecting me back so soon. Instead of stopping the event, Melissa became defensive. She demanded that I leave immediately. That was when I realized how far the situation had gone. I asked a simple question. Who authorized this auction? Nobody had an answer. The crowd suddenly became very uncomfortable. Most bidders believed everything was legitimate. They had traveled from several counties away. Now, they were hearing a very different story. Doubt started spreading quickly. I opened my briefcase. Inside were the ranch deeds, tax records, and proof of ownership going back decades. The documents were impossible to dispute. Every acre listed under my family's name. Every boundary clearly recorded. The evidence spoke for itself. The auctioneer immediately paused the event. He wanted answers before continuing. No reputable company wanted legal trouble, especially not over land ownership. Melissa tried to keep control. She insisted everything had been approved, but nobody could produce a valid authorization. The situation was unraveling fast. Several neighboring ranchers stepped forward. They confirmed the ranch belonged to my family. Most had known me for years. Their support carried weight. Realizing the auction was collapsing, Melissa made a desperate move. She pulled out her phone. Then she called 911. A few minutes later, county deputies arrived. The crowd expected them to remove me. Instead, they started asking questions. The deputies carefully examined my paperwork. They checked identification, property records, and county ownership databases. Within minutes, the truth became obvious. The ranch belonged to me. There was no active sale and no legal authority for the auction. One by one, the bidders started leaving. Nobody wanted involvement in a disputed property sale. The auction was effectively over, and everyone knew it. For the first time all day, Melissa looked genuinely worried. Her plan had completely collapsed. The crowd was gone, but her problems were only beginning. The deputies didn't leave after stopping the auction. They wanted to know how it happened in the first place. Someone had organized a public sale, and that required paperwork. As the documents were reviewed, several inconsistencies appeared. Property descriptions didn't match county records. Ownership information was incomplete. The questions kept growing. Meanwhile, Melissa was scrambling for answers. Phone calls were being made nonstop. The auction company wanted explanations. So did several angry bidders. That evening, the HOA board held an emergency meeting. Members demanded to know who approved the auction. The room quickly turned hostile. No one wanted responsibility. News of the failed auction spread rapidly. Local reporters started asking questions. Residents wanted the full story. The controversy was becoming public. The support from neighboring ranchers surprised me. Many were angry about what had happened. They believed property rights mattered, and they weren't afraid to say so. For the first time, Melissa was running out of options. The auction had failed. Investigators were asking difficult questions, and the pressure was only beginning to build.